flowers in it. And here, let me just grab a handful of this stuff. Here. There's just some random stuff I grabbed off of it. That's all seeds. Right? I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it at all. Most of it doesn't come up. But even when it does, it's not a big problem. And it's not... Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and I'm out here in the garden this morning planting some garlic, and it made me think of, I got into a bizarre debate with someone on Facebook the other night, which I don't recommend to anyone. But this person was trying to imply that that keeping a no-till garden is a lot of work, which is hard to understand. If you're not doing something that other people are doing, how is it more work to not do something that everyone else does? But anyway, one of the main lines this guy was taking was that there's all this weeding, that it's some sort of weed bed. You're basically growing vegetables in a weed bed, which I think anyone that's been following my garden tours would be very difficult to make that claim. I do have weeds, but I'm not growing vegetables in weed beds. I'm growing vegetables in mulched beds. Anyway, the only real weeding I do in a given year, and this is the thing that comes up over and over and over again. Oh my goodness, does that mulch have weeds in it? And just about every mulch I use is full of weed seeds, full of weed seeds. So I just get bags of stuff people throw out in the front yard, basically. And like I just mulched a bed over there, and someone just raked up. It looked like they mowed their septic field, which, I mean, septic fields around here, they're not like pure grass. They're basically weeds, every kind of weed you can imagine. And I can see all the flowers in it. And here, let me just grab a handful of this stuff. Here. There's just some random stuff I grabbed off of it. That's all seeds. Right? I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it at all. Most of it doesn't come up. But even when it does, it's not a big problem. And sometimes the weeds you get are great weeds. So I thought I'd just take you through the weeding, the kind of weeding I typically do in a bed. So here's a bed behind me. I grew beets here last year, had a pretty good yield. I've picked them all and they're all in storage. And now it's time to do something with this garden. I want to plant garlic in it for next year. And there's still a few weeds that need to be dealt with in there. And I've also noticed a couple really good weeds. And not the kind of weed you're talking about or thinking about, but parsnips. Can't really smoke those, but parsnips. Just breathed in a fly. A lot of black flies around today. Anyway, some parsnips in here that just grew on their own randomly. Let's pull one of these babies out and see what we got. It always seems to amaze me that the parsnips that grow wild outgrow and outperform any kind of parsnips I would plant. There, now, as far as weeds go, that one I had to get up with the pickaxe. Normally I just pull out, but that one, it was growing underneath the wood here, so it was in a weird spot. Anyway, there's the biggest one, maybe 3 inches at the crown. There's the second biggest one, 2.5 inches at the crown, but longer than the big one. And I got this size you'd probably get in a grocery store. And I got this weird shaped one here. It probably had a rock directly underneath it. When they grow above a rock, they tend to get that weird octopus sort of shape. Anyway, for something I didn't even plant, not a bad thing. Now I noticed them growing in with my beets and I just left them alone. But anyway, what I thought I'd do is just shoot this thing in real time and show what goes into my getting this bed ready for planting garlic. So I got a bed. I've not weeded it all year. I planted beets in here in April or early May, I can't remember, probably April. And aside from thinning the beets a bit, I really haven't done much weeding. So this is the weeding that I would do in a bed in a given year. There, so this bed's ready for planting now. Now you have to remember that this part of my garden last year, 2018, was completely overrun by a variety of wild strawberry that's extremely tenacious weed that just colonizes like you wouldn't believe. And all I did was cover the area with leaf bags, put the beds down, put the sand down in the walking paths, and really there hasn't been much. There was the couple times you saw me pull over and literally pull something out and fire it in the woods. That was the strawberry, so there's very little of it in there. And yes, wild strawberries are nice, but they're not as productive as cultivars, and they just take over your whole garden, so they're just really no use in a garden like this. So now I'm ready to put the you notice I threw a whole bunch of stuff over there, including the I used cardboard strips in between the rows to suppress weeds when I was growing the beets. So I think this bed's a hugelkultur bed. One of the beds along here is a hugelkultur bed, so I really can't do it here. But somewhere, all those weeds and the clumps and all the stuff I threw out of here, I will trench mulch those. I'll basically dig a trench in a garden, bury them, and put the soil back on top. Doesn't take long at all. I've done lots of videos on that. I'll put a link to one at the end of this. Now this bed's ready to plant the garlic. I'll put the garlic in, and then I'll put a mulch on it, and basically will not weed this until around this time next year. So let me show you all that and fast forward. Now I'm going to mulch this thing, and you notice that in most of my so-called raised beds, really the soil level isn't much higher than grade, and it kind of almost begs the question of why I have a box. And really one of the main advantages of the box is it just keeps the mulch from blowing around and keeps it all in place. This is just a bag of yard waste that someone left on the side of the road at the end of the driveway, and it's full of weeds. I don't care, because as you just saw, it's really not hard to deal with weeds in a no-till garden, and it's really not hard to maintain a no-till garden if you actually try it and you know what you're doing. I didn't take any special courses on doing this. I just watched YouTube videos and read about it and a couple documentaries, really, and then just did trial and error. Best teacher in the world. There, one 4x8 bed, weeded, planted, ready for next year. I'm not going to do anything here until, this time next year, next October. So I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com. Try not to get bitten by flies. Can't believe we got flies in the middle of October. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.